I'm joining you from the low-carbon digital world today.
Okay, there you are.
How are you?
Real good.
Well, it's an honor to be here with the DNC today, speaking about these issues, especially with the speakers that you've lined up. Many of them are my heroes, and so I'm deeply honored to be here as a lowly, humble actor. So thank you for the chance to speak today. First, I want to recognize the Democratic primary that honestly debated the choices that we have in front of us. While walking different paths, each of our candidates actually share a goal of 100% clean energy. This commitment, among others, give me hope that as a party, we will not turn away from the challenges facing our country today. Unlike others running for president, we will not turn away from each other. We will work together to solve these tough problems. We'll give 100% for 100% of our citizens. Now, the old dirty fossil fuel system and the dark money it pumps into our politics is a toxic mess, killing more than 40,000 Americans each year, 1,500 of them in Arizona alone. Researchers estimate that each American will save more than $8,000, $6,000 for people in Arizona every year by moving to 100% clean energy, instead of the billions of dollars that are being put into the pockets of the 1%. That wealth can be shared by all, meaning less money spent on wars to protect our dirty fossil fuels and more money on schools, roads, and our communities. So the good news is that we don't have to dream anymore about wind, water, and sun powering our lives. Scientists from Stanford, UC Davis, and Cornell have proven that 100% clean energy is absolutely possible today. It's cost effective, and it's possible with the technology that we have today. Wind today is the cheapest form of energy available in the United States. Solar is cost competitive. And the result of making that switch, nearly $600 billion saved, okay? Not to mention the gains that we'll make in fighting climate change, but there's an economic argument to be made, and I hope the DNC can understand this. $600 billion saved. We'll have new industries that flourish, tens of thousands of lives saved a year, and a nation where every state develops its own local, God-given, harvestable, and never-ending power source. No longer are we sending our energy dollars out of state and out of country. Now, the only thing in our way, blocking us from this transition, is political leadership and courage. It simply is no longer an economic issue or a technological issue. We are not 20 years away from being able to do this. It's happening now. The party can today join the CEOs of Apple, General Motors, the mayors of San Diego, California, Greensboro, Kansas, and hundreds of thousands of other everyday heroes in Boulder, Buffalo, Des Moines, and Miami. Americans are making 100% clean energy happen for employees, neighbors, and families across the country right now today. And as a party, we can pick up that pace, making sure that every American household, school, and business has access to affordable clean energy, all while creating more good, stable jobs than we lose in the process by millions. 100% clean energy is not only possible, it's happening. And it's a personal issue for everyone who pays utility bills, who has to go to work. For myself, who I want to go and play out in streams and rivers and have clean air and clean land and clean water. With my family, I want them to grow up in a clean environment like you do, like every American does. The quicker America makes this transition, the quicker the rest of the world will follow us. America leads the way. We all know this. This primary season has shown us that the people of the country crave bold leadership. And a move to 100% clean energy is not only bold, it's also smart. Smart for our health, smart for our economy, smart for protecting our water and air, and smart for global security. The future of democracy lies in our ability to transition away from old, dirty fossil fuels. And the Democratic Party should be at the front lines of this transition. We deserve to have 100% clean energy for 100% of our people. And that means everybody. And this also deals with an environmental racism as well, economic racism. That's why I'm here to urge the DNC to adopt a goal of achieving 100% clean energy from wind, water, and sun by 2050. The time is now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ruffalo, I failed to give you a proper introduction, so I want everybody to know who you are.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Ruffalo Mark Ruffalo is an American actor who has starred in multiple critically acclaimed roles. During his acting career, he has received numerous awards and nominations, including a BAFTA and Oscar nomination for his role in the 2015 drama Spotlight. Mr. Ruffalo always has a long history of activism and humanitarianism, and has utilized his position to speak out in support of LGBT issues, clean water initiatives, and environmental preservation. He is the co-founder and board member of the Solutions Project, and is also the founder of Water Defense, a nonprofit organization dedicated to clean water, rooted in the belief that access to clean water is a fundamental human right. Any questions? Yes, Mr. McKibben.
You could even add that he started turning green in his role as the Hulk early on. Mark, just to make absolutely clear, sometimes there are people who have described natural gas as clean energy for America. Could you describe what you mean by clean energy, and could you talk a little bit about the campaign that you helped wage about fracking in New York State, ultimately successful with Governor Cuomo's cooperation?
Sure. For a long time, people in the environmental movement felt that natural gas was going to be the bridge fuel to the future. But what we came to find out, and what science has consequently proved, is natural gas is actually gangplank to a more rapidly changing climate. Natural gas is 100 times more damaging a greenhouse gas, heat-trapping gas than CO2 in a 70-year period. Which makes it particularly dangerous, and we can't seem to be able to keep it from leaking no matter how hard we try and where we try to do it. And so any kind of gains that we thought we were making by transitioning to natural gas have actually basically exploded in our faces. I don't think it's any accident that climate change has accelerated much beyond what many of our climate scientists were saying, while at the same time we were building out this giant natural gas infrastructure and shift. But the fact of the matter is we don't need natural gas. As the scientists tell us that we have to keep 80% of our carbon in the ground, we also have technologically advanced to such a point that we can actually leapfrog over natural gas. We could hang glide to the future instead of carrying the natural gas as a bridge. Which leads me to New York, and why New York is such an important example of how to wage this coming struggle. In New York, we had the promise of natural gas, and this was during the natural gas boom, when there was very scant information on how bad natural gas actually was and how dangerous fracking was to communities. We were getting anecdotal information, but we didn't have all the science in yet. While at the same time, we understood that we need power. We want to live in a modern world. People don't want to shut off their lights. They don't want to turn off the air conditioning, so on and so forth. They want to live modernly. And so we had to come up with a way forward that was equitable for people and equitable for our governor. And so as the health studies were coming in and showing that natural gas and fracking were actually not everything they were cracked up to be, and they're actually quite dangerous, we were proving to the governor that we could take this nation to that we could take the state to 100% renewable energy. And he adopted that. And since then, New York State is now leading the nation in the build out of solar, wind, and water generation. We are moving faster than any state in the nation, and we don't exactly have all the sun that you have in Arizona, by the way, or people have in Florida, but we're doing it. And we're doing it because we created a space by saying we'll move to 100% renewable energy, and that gave politicians a place to move. It gave the citizenry a place to move, and it enlivened people to a future that's bright, that has promise, that promises jobs, that doesn't send our kids overseas to fight wars, energy wars. And people are linking this together. The problem has been fighting climate change is people think they got to turn off their lives. But if we could find an alternative like renewable energy and moving to that quickly, they don't have to turn off anything, and we'll create more jobs and we'll spread the wealth.
We're going to take two questions, Representative Reese and Ms. Schaefer.
Thank you for your testimony. I wanted to follow up on what was said by some of the committee members earlier, and I know earlier this week in Ohio, at Progress Ohio, our chairman called in, and this was an issue that came up from those who attended on the issue of racial environmental justice. And so I guess my question to you, as we've heard about Flint, we've heard about low-income communities and the injustice. We've heard about so many people getting, particularly African Americans, they would get cancer or MS, as my mother had MS, and they kind of just deal with it, and they don't come together and say what caused these things. Do you think in our platform, I know, like you said, both candidates are firm on the issue of environmental justice, but should there be some mention, and if so, what is that, to deal with racial and economic environmental justice? What would you recommend? Because I think there's a disconnect, particularly in the urban areas and low-income areas, about what is environmental justice. They kind of just deal with all of the ailments that come from it.
Yeah. So in my travels, what I've seen is there's an enormous amount of environmental racism as to the people on the front lines who are dealing with processing plants or drilling or transportation of these fossil fuels. It's been my aim to empower those people. I think they're putting it together. In Los Angeles, you have hundreds of drilling wells happening in neighborhoods of color. There's an organization, Stand LA, which is Stand Against Neighborhood Drilling, and they're informed. And when you lift up their voices, they do a very good job of speaking for themselves. They carry a credibility that Mark Ruffalo, doesn't have. I don't live there. We think that we have to create some sort of a system where we have to rescue these people, but these people, they wanna fight for themselves too. But we don't give them the tools to do it. We push it off to big organizations, or we hope that politicians are going to do it. But there's a vibrant grassroots movement building around these issues, and because we can communicate to each other through this beautiful democratizing tool called the internet, God, please keep it open and free for all the people. we're seeing movement happening where there wasn't movement, and connections happening where it wasn't happening. What I think, and what Van Jones was already onto, and what Viet Trong was speaking about, is the opportunity, the economic opportunities by making this transition. I'll make some materials available to you, but we'll have a 3.5 million gain in jobs by transitioning to 100% renewable energy. That's a net gain. So any job that's lost in any other sector because of this transition will be gained manyfold. But, I think the more you can tie it to jobs, opportunity, economic opportunity, and the places that we're moving out in solar, we're seeing an enormous amount of people of color coming into that field. And it's a great paying field. It has upward mobility. It's the fastest growing economic plane in the United States. It's where all the new wealth will be. And so I think it's a two-pronged thing. Offer the jobs so they understand the connection, so we understand our connection to this change, and give them the tools to fight when they have to fight.
Thank you. Mark, I'm going to have to get to Ms. Schaefer. Ms. Schaefer.
No doubt.
Thank you.